I'm Pepper. Actually, I'm Dr. Pepper. Just get it out of the way, you know? It might occur to you at some point. I'm a sociologist, and I am also a woman. The latter you could probably tell. But one of those things you can't tell about me is I'm a romantic. And even though I teach classes at the University of Washington, I still maintain my research mostly about relationships, love, how people meet, whether or not they stay together, what keeps them together. I've always been interested in this topic, and it's what I write books and lecture about. Generally, while I've done cross-cultural work, my work has been about American love, American marriage, the idea that you fall in love, you're attracted to someone, you make a choice, and then you work on it, and hopefully it works, and of course sometimes it doesn't. Thinking about arranged marriage has always been something from a different culture to me, kind of buying a pig in a poke, like you don't know much about it, your parents have to arrange it, and maybe you don't see the world the way they do. I know it's been very successful in some countries. Certainly, I have friends who've had an arranged marriage. And in this case, the families get together, they decide, do we have the same lifestyle? Do we have perhaps the same religious backgrounds? Are we, in the same categories of education and income? Well, let's get them together, and hopefully they will decide after a few hours of conversation that we've made a choice and they should get married. So it works. It works for a lot of those people. Of course, not all of them are happy, but most of them have found a lifestyle and values and goals that are comfortable for them. The question is, could we do it in America? I would have thought no, until I get this call out of the blue that said, would you be interested in a television show where we arrange marriages and they meet for the first time at the altar? Yeah, that's my thought too. I was kind of like, I don't know about this. And they said, well, look this is a hit show in Denmark. Take a look at it and see what you think. So I did. I looked at this thing, and it was actually excellent. And so I found myself on this show, Married at First Sight, A&E FYI. Some of you have seen it perhaps. Thank you. And in this case, we have 4 experts. The choices are not guided by family, not by family values, but by scientific values. We give these 3 couples, or 6 people, we pick them out of a big group of people, we give them psychological tests, we do background tests, I go visit their homes, meet their families, their friends, etc. And then we make a decision, and they meet at the altar. I'm not unknown to this kind of procedure. The slide is from a different dating site, but there's online dating, and I designed and invented the algorithm for one of the sites called Perfect Match, based a little bit on the Myers-Briggs point of view that they use for companies, but I thought, well, I'm going to use this for people, and I know it helps. But my idea was not so much based that there was some science involved, but that what we do now maybe isn't fitting everybody, that there was actually room for an experiment to see that if we designed an arranged marriage, could we help people who weren't doing so well in the conventional ways? So I thought, let's try it. And what deepened my resolve was thinking about American dating today, the way we meet people. I have to tell you, I have been shocked at how picky people are. We often meet people, well, here's my list of what I want, and I never say, well, could you fit all of those categories? But usually these long lists are my word for that person's going to be lonely. Nonetheless, it's tough out there because people have these lists, whether they show them to you or they think them. And there's this feeling that, you think that nobody's good enough for this person. And some of these people feel like the guys in the slide, like there's just no way. And that's just finding someone. Then this is what looks like commitment. The idea, okay, let's date, but, let's not get, well, you're just not quite number 15 on list 20. And so they don't end up together, and they're kind of like this cartoon that I saw, which basically is the way sometimes people feel, don't you understand? I love you. I need you. I want to spend the rest of my vacation with you. And what it doesn't say, there is, and that's all. So it's trouble out there. This is a real slide from a real situation where someone is breaking up with somebody online. And they've even got the wrong person. Now, wouldn't you run from this world? I mean, this is hard. Let's assume there was something going on between these two people. Do you think it's not true? There is a study that said 1/3 of people have been broken up with online. So there's damage in the American dating scene. People get angry, people feel spurned, people have seen something in their life where they weren't treated well. And many of them, most of us, really want to end up with someone, but we're starting to see as we get older that this is getting less and less likely. Demographers predict that 25% of American women now of marriageable age will never marry. So what happens is when you get into the ages of 28 to 32, which is now the ages of people's sort of years of last resort, they are really intense. So this is perhaps why in our 3rd season of Married at First Sight, 20,000 people asked if we could marry them at first sight, which I think speaks louder than anything else I could say in terms of people who have no experience in American culture of this thinking, let's put myself in their hands. So let me tell you about 2 people who did. This is from our 1st season. This is Doug and Jamie. Jamie has had a tough life. Her mother was an addict. Her mother has no idea who Jamie's father is. Her mother was so incapable at many parts of her life that Jamie had to go to court to get custody of her siblings. Otherwise, they would have family would have been broken up. So she had to grow up tough in a tough world, pulled herself up by her bootstraps, went to college, is now an obstetrics nurse at Columbia University. She's come a long way. But she has tended to date guys who kind of treated her as arm candy rather than understood the circumstances of her background and the psychological impact it's had on her. Doug is a great guy, comes from a warm, happy, tight, middle-class family. Doug had a big disappointment in his life. He tried to be a major league ball player, and he got this close and didn't get it. So when we found him, he was recouping from that, living in his parents' house, and not quite restarting his life, but wanting to. They meet at the altar. Doug's a little nervous here. But he sees Jamie, and she's a gorgeous lady, and so he's kind of excited. Jamie's reaction's a little different. She's not too happy. In fact, she's plopped down in a corner after the wedding and saying, and this really hurts me, the experts betrayed me. So maybe not our first thought about how attraction was going to work there. How do they look now, a year and a half after they got married? Pretty darn good. So what have I learned from this? And maybe I could share with you that I think is a bigger story than just the fact that we're doing this experiment on TV. And you can actually watch their story now. It's still continuing on I think it's FYI and A&E. First of all, I decided that there was no way those 2 people would have been together if they were dating, or even if they never would have gotten to cohabitation, and they certainly wouldn't have had a second date. But they didn't. They got married, and there's something about marriage as an institution that still has huge power. People often talk to me about our high divorce rate, and does marriage mean anything anymore? You bet it does. People try way harder in marriage. They often will take a lot of disappointment, a lot of really tough circumstances, and still persevere because they're married, and it means something to them, even if they did it on a TV show, Married at First Sight. They have plenty of kinds of choices, I think, and that may, in fact, tell us that people have restricted their choices in some ways, that when we can look at the larger sort of bird's eye view and put people together, that there are really quite a few people that people can love. That may be a little bit out of their experience in terms of their choices, but it doesn't mean they aren't out there. Of course, they have something else that I would say is the second thing to think about. We are with them pretty seriously from 6 weeks to 6 months I'm pretty much on call, and so are my 4 fellow experts, Joseph, a clinical psychologist, Logan, a sexologist, Greg, a chaplain. One of the things that occurs to me is that young couples do not get enough support. And if it was there, a heck of a lot more of them would do better. What about sexual attraction? We've always been told that that's so important, that that's the key to everything. Well, I'm telling you, a lot of our couples are not immediately sexually attracted, but they get mentally attracted. And many of them then start to see this person differently as the temperaments, as the character, as the humor, and as their bond creates something in terms of everyday life together. This is what Indian arranged marriage has found. If you get the right things at the foundation, they will see each other differently. Sexual attraction and passion are terrific, but often they take us the wrong way. And if you start with character and a commitment, you maybe take a look at what's really important, what really matters in this person, and they become better looking to you. Of course, that's not what we get in our culture. These are the ideas we get. We get hard bodies and beautiful people, and the rest of us think like, how can I be lovable to anyone because I don't look like this or I did between 21 and 22. But for all of us, it's not exactly how we go through the life cycle. And yet, I have to tell people, in fact, part of my mission is that this is not going to make the difference between you finding someone to love and not finding someone to love. What makes the difference is you going out there, looking for it, selling yourself, showing your heart, being the person you are, and someone giving you a chance to do that. Furthermore, I think we need a little bit more guidance from outside. Some people really do need what they don't seek. Jamie had been going with a certain kind of guy, traders and, not T-R-A-I-D-O-R-S, traders, stock traders, and with, very successful kinds of guys. What she needed was somebody warm, patient, understanding, fun, and who could deal with the family that she still had an attachment to, even though they were a bit raw and had a tough backstory. On the other hand, Doug needed to grow up. He was really disappointed. He was just restarting his career. He needed someone like Jamie who could put things in perspective and love him for who he was and encourage him on his way. These two people would never have picked each other, but they're doing great now. So that's why I believe that there's something in this, something off air, something real, about putting together marriages not based on passionate, not based on a kind of sexual attraction that is all we can see probably for about the first year of anything, but trying to take a look at who we are and what we need and get the people who can help us to get experts, to get counseling. Lots of the churches, lots of the temples have things called marriage encounter, marriage enrichment, marriage preparation. People should go into a little bit of counseling and not just go before marriage, but have checkups after marriage, things that help people, more than the first consecration, they have a concentration on each other, a focus, a way to re-up, a way to understand, a way not to walk out the door when things go bad. These things really do have their ups and downs. Most of us never get behind the doors with the people who are involved in that marriage, but experts can, because they will have an objective view, and if they are committed to the couple, they can help them through these tough parts. We have a 50% divorce rate in this country. I think we could have a lower divorce rate. I think we need help, and I think we need to put things in perspective about what's really important. After all, do I believe an American style of arranged marriage is right for everyone? Of course not. I don't think anything's right for everyone. But this kind of help, this kind of guidance, maybe even with the parental generation, might be good for some people, because I think in the end, we really all want the same thing. We want someone to love. We want someone who has our back. We want them for a lifetime. We want to be safe with them. We want to be with us. We want them to be with us until death do us part. And that is what marriage could and should have to offer. Thank you.